and welcome to my channel, and today we are filming my August wrap-up. It is now time to figure out if I have finally gotten off of my book buying ban, which I have already talked about. I did break it in August, but I don't really count that because we ended up going on vacation, and typically y'all can yell at me about this if you want, but typically I don't count books. If we go out of town for vacation, I tend not to count those books towards breaking a book buying ban unless we go to Boston or something, because we're always in Boston. But if we go out to, like, we went to Florida, if we go somewhere where I know I'm never gonna get to go to these bookstores again, then I don't count it, because I'm like, I never get to go to these bookstores. I count this as an experience. I tend to buy books when I'm on vacation, and I'm totally okay with that. You can yell at me if you want to. I'm not counting it towards, like, I'm not adding any additional points towards my book buying ban, if that makes sense. I need 27 of these to get off of my book buying ban, and then I can start regularly buying books again. And right now I have 5 more to get off of my book buying ban, and I am genuinely very excited because I have a couple of books that are coming out this month that I need to get. And then let's talk about the elephant in the room. I did say I was planning on doing a 31 books in 31 days challenge. That didn't end up working out the way that I wanted it to. Typically when I do that, like, I tend to bite off more than I can chew, and I had a lot of really big books on the TBR this month. So unfortunately I didn't get to complete that challenge, which is disappointing because this is the 3rd time that I have tried that challenge and it just didn't end up working out in my favor. But that doesn't mean that I'm gonna stop. Right now my goal is to do this type of challenge at least twice a year. I'm really thinking August and April are gonna be the 2 months that I attempt to do this challenge. And once I finally beat this challenge, either I'll stop or I'll continue to do it. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Something in my brain is like, you're challenging yourself to do something, you need to do it until you complete it. Like, it's like with the Goodreads goal. I build myself a challenge that might be just out of my reach. And if I do it, great. If I don't, like, yeah, I'm disappointed, but it really just gives me that extra push to continue to try to do it. Like, I'm not really that heartbroken if I don't get to it. Okay, I think that's enough of an introduction. Let's get into the books. Like I said, didn't get to my entirety of the August TBR because we had a lot of thick and chunky books. However, I'm really excited for a lot of them. So hopefully they'll be in videos very, very soon. At least the ones that I didn't get to. So we'll move on to audiobook, and I did listen to a couple of audios. For the one I'm going to talk about for this one is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is one that has been very popular on YouTube and one that I've been very excited and nervous to get to because this is the 3rd time that I've tried to read this. And I don't know, I thought it was okay. I'm actually kind of disappointed because I really wanted to love this book a lot more than I did. This one follows Noemi, who gets a letter from her cousin saying that something is wrong and she needs to come see her right away. Her father tells her, go see your cousin, I'm really concerned. I need you to bring back information. So she goes, and she realizes that there is something dark and sinister happening in the house, and she's not exactly sure what. And she has to try to get her cousin and herself out of the situation. And again, I thought this was okay. I thought there were a couple of really basic horror / haunted house tropes. I feel like in this kind of book, the haunted house is supposed to feel like its own kind of character, and I think this book tried to do that, but I don't think it really gauged what it was trying to do. Like, I didn't really feel like the house itself was a character, and that's something that I really like, or that's something that I look for when I go into books like this, and it just didn't quite hit the mark. It was fine, a solid 3-star. It is currently on my Pango shop, which is a little spoiler for later in the video because I have an unhaul square here. This is currently on my Pango shop, so if you want it, just bear in mind that there is a little bit of damage on the back. The corner got folded a little bit. And readathon, I participated in Battleathon, which is a competitive based readathon where all of your points come from your star ratings. And no, I did not finish an ebook this month, but I did listen to a record. I really, with this square, I can listen to any album, but I've been trying to prioritize a lot of our vinyl records that we have because we have built quite a collection. And I ended up listening to, I recently got a Halsey album, Badlands, that I had known a couple of songs on, but I had never listened to the full album. And I listened to that like 3 times on repeat. I just loved it that much. I thought it was so fun. And yeah, we'll definitely be listening to more from them in the future. Reread, I did my reread, which I'm so glad that I did because this was once again a 5-star. Just because I read something in the past and gave it a 5-star doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to give it a 5-star again. Apparently, unless it comes from this author. I reread Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys. She's by far my favorite historical fiction author. She tends to write about areas of the past that not a lot of people know about. Like, this is, obviously we've heard of the Spanish Civil War, but we haven't heard about what happens after. This follows Anna, who works at this really fancy hotel, and then Daniel, who is just a guest at the hotel, and she's assigned to their family, and it really follows their relationship from there. And like, we follow Daniel, who's learning about the town of Madrid. We also get a couple of other side perspectives, Anna's brother and her cousin's POV, and we just basically get to learn about a part of history that not a lot of people know about, and it's actually really devastating and sad and unacceptable that these things were allowed to go on and continue for as long as they did. But I love this. This is absolutely just as heartbreaking and just heartwarming and beautiful and entertaining as it was the first time that I read this, and I cannot wait for her to write another historical fiction book, because I need more. I've read every single thing she has published so far. Video game. I am really excited to tell you that one of the reasons that I did not complete my 30 and 30 challenge was because I didn't have a ton of audiobooks, and because I got addicted to a new video game. Well, not new, but new to me video game called Potion Permit. In this game, you play as a chemist who is assigned to this town to help them, when they get sick. And they pretty much hate you because they have really bad relationship with the last chemist that came in from the town. Like, he pretty much destroyed everything, and so they're really wary about their relationship with you, and so you have to try to build relationships with this town, possibly fall in love with a character or two, and collect food and materials to help you in your journey. And I am absolutely loving it. I am very much addicted to playing it. And yeah, it's been really hard to get me away from my Switch in order to actively read. So if you like really cozy games that allow you, like, really kind of a farming sim, but you don't actually plant anything. But if you like really cozy, kind of mindless games, I highly recommend checking it out. Nonfiction. I ended up borrowing a true crime book from the library, which I really would like to get more of those and add them to my collection, because I really do have a fascination and love for the true crime world. I ended up borrowing I'll Be Gone in the Dark. This is a true crime book about the Golden State Killer, and something that stood out to me for this that a lot of people have been talking about is, unfortunately, the author passed away before she finished this book and before the Golden State Killer was eventually caught. So it was really finished and put together based on her notes and based on just her thoughts. And so like you can kind of tell, because in some ways it isn't 100% properly edited. Like it's very choppy. Like you'll be talking about one thing 1 minute and then another thing the next, and it really very much feels like you're in the head of someone who's just scribbling down all these notes. So that was like a positive and a negative, because you kind of get those little like scatterbrained moments that I know I get, especially when filming content for this channel. So I really actually kind of enjoyed those segments, but it also kind of, there were times where I would be taken out of the book because of it. But what I did really like about this book, and I feel like a lot of true crime documentaries, true crime podcasts really forget to do, is it tells you about the lives of the victims. It doesn't just say, you know, they were harmed in this way. It really tells you about their life and about who they were as people before this unfortunate tragedy happened to them. And again, I feel like you kind of lose that in a lot of true crime podcasts. I very much was interested in this book. I think it was, you could tell that there was some passion. Like Michelle did not care about the name behind who did it. Like she wasn't interested in getting a name. Like that's not what she cared about. She cared about bringing this guy to justice and making sure that the people that these crimes happened to got justice, because this guy did not deserve to be out on the street anymore. And you really got to see that in these pages. So again, highly recommend checking it out if that is something that you are interested in. If it is a genre that you want to dip your toes into, I think this is a really accessible way to start getting into that. Date! We went on a whole vacation together. I'm going to count that as a date. And then a loved one pick, which brings us to our first point, because Benson ended up choosing Allie. This is the newest Junji Ito book that Benson actually picked up for me, and I, no surprise, gave it a 5-star. Once again, this is just a collection of stories. It's not one of his linear books where it all follows a specific character, and it was creepy as always. I was disgusted. I made the mistake of once again trying to eat while I was reading this book, and I just couldn't do it. There is a story in here following a creepy ass ice cream truck. And of course, that was the story that I decided to pick up something to eat in, and I could not do it. If you like horror books, I will scream to the sun, please pick up Junji Ito's works. They are the right amount of scary. They will keep you up at night if that is what you are looking for. If you don't like horror, if you don't like gory kind of body horror things, I really wouldn't recommend checking him out. But if you are looking to get into, I mean, I wouldn't even recommend him if you're looking to get into horror manga. If you don't already love horror manga, it might not be the best for you. But it is one of my favorite things to bond with my friends over, because most of us have in common that we love Junji Ito's works. So it's really fun getting to talk to my friends about, you know, which ones that they've read, which ones they haven't, and yeah, bonding about creepiness and our love for apparently gross body horror. Movie. I ended up watching Back to the Future for the first time. This is what this square is for, is to get me to watch movies that I have not seen. I haven't seen a lot of 80s classics, actually. I've seen The Breakfast Club, but that might be it. Bookemon, the monthly prompt for that was to read a book with fruit on the cover. Unfortunately, I didn't get to do that. I was looking, but I could not find anything that I wanted to read at the time. Free states. I actually have a couple. We'll start with get the Back to the Future, which is why I watched Back to the Future for the first time, because I really wanted to read this. This is just basically the script of Back to the Future written in old Elizabethan English. It's basically just like a play inspired by William Shakespeare of Back to the Future. And I thought it was fun because it wasn't just the script, but it did add like monologues in places that there weren't in the movie. And obviously there are some really cool pictures in here where like the scene where Marty and his siblings start to disappear in the photograph. Like, you get to see that, and I don't know, it's just really fun and a really interesting thing to like watch the movie and then immediately read the book. It was really fun to sit down and compare and contrast the difference between the movie and the book. Manga, unfortunately, I can't cross this off. My rule is I have to read at least half of the series, and I only read 2 volumes of Hell's Paradise. I will continue on with this before I start the I manga, but I'm planning on reading at least up to volume 7. That way I can continue on. I'll decide what to do after volume 7, if I want to continue on with that or just jump right into I'm in Love with the Villainess. And upload, I'm going to give myself a break because we went on vacation for that week and it was just, so I'm going to cut myself a break. I did upload a decent amount. Big Book is kind of actually also a reread, but I'm going to count it anyway. I reread Scythe by Neal Shusterman. This takes place in a world where there is no more natural death. Diseases are gone, and there's no war. Nobody is upset. Pretty much, like, humanity has found a way to conquer all kinds of natural death, and nobody is killing anybody. There's no murder. There really is no way to end life unless you are one of the appointed scythe. If you're a scythe, you are allowed to not kill people, but you glean people, and that's their way to organize population control, is to keep it as low as they can. And we follow 2 main characters, Citra and Rowan, who are chosen to be an apprentice, or chosen to possibly have an apprenticeship with the scythe. Neither of them really want to do it, but that's kind of a job requirement, is if you don't want to do it, you probably should be the one to do it. It has since come a long way from there. Even in book 1, it ends up really twisting the way that this story is told, and I loved every minute of it. I did only give this one a 4-star, mainly because, you know, what a lot of people think, the romance was just too quick. I have kind of changed my mind on that a little bit. It's still a 4-star read, but for a different reason. When I first read this, I was like, I didn't really like the romance, and I feel like a lot of people very much agreed, like that was a lot of people's problem with it. My thing now is it's the pacing. So because the pacing is, again, time jumps, if time jumps are not right or not done in the correct way, I feel like we're kind of rushing through the story, and that obviously can affect the rating, and that really gets to me. In this, it's because the time skips that it seems like the romance is happening really quickly. Obviously, a year is passed, and they are getting to know each other within that year. So we're not seeing this romance develop. We're just being told that the romance has developed. So I think that's the reason that a lot of people have an issue with the romance in this book, is because we're not really, like, we're just being told 1 minute they're strangers, the next they're friends, and then all of a sudden they love each other. That is really my issue with it, is the pacing, and yeah, I didn't particularly love that. I did cook. We ended up actually going grocery shopping, and I made like a couple of actually pretty good dishes that I cannot wait to revisit. And then series will end up jumping in straight into book 2 of the Arc of the Scythe series, Thunderhead. I did finish Thunderhead, and this was a 4.5 star, but I ended up rounding up. It's very rare that I round up on books. If I give it a half point, I usually, like, if this is a 4.5 star, I would drop it down to a 4 star on Goodreads. I could not do that with this. It was a 4.5, but I rounded it up to a 5 because we take place about a year after the events of the first book, and the way this ended, I immediately wanted to jump into the Toll, but I was doing the 24-hour reading vlog challenges, and I didn't have enough time to finish it, and I knew I would want to finish it by the end of the month. So, like, I was so mad because I really, really wanted to just jump right into the Toll. Like, the way this ended, I am literally so excited to get to finish the series and figure out where it goes, because there are so many twists and turns that I did not see coming, that I genuinely loved and kept me reading way quicker than I normally would read a 500-page book. And this is like the fastest that I've read through a YA book in such a long time. Like, I feel like I say I don't really like YA books anymore, but then there are some, like a really good handful of books where I'm like, give me more. So it's really hard to figure out my relationship with, it's like a bad relationship, an on again, off again relationship. Me and YA books, I'm like, do I like them? Do I not? I don't know. But I loved this. 5 out of 5 star. Highly recommend this series. I know, like, even if you were put off of the first one by the romance or by any of the twists and turns, I know Connor put down the first book for the longest time, and now I'm gonna need to drill it into his head that he needs to finish the series, because I need someone to scream about this series with. A self-date. I ended up taking myself on a walk. I was gonna go get boba, but then the boba place was closed, so that was really sad. So I just took myself on a nice little walk downtown. I went to go sit on the docks for a little while, and just chill out and have a little cozy walk. I was gonna read, but I didn't really want to read at the minute. I just kind of wanted to sit there. And I could have gotten another bingo, but I did not finish the buzzword for the month. The word was like, and I didn't really own anything that I wanted to read at the time that had the word like. Like, I only own one book that has the word like in it. And I did get halfway through an audiobook that had the word like in it, but I didn't finish that. Unwrap. So technically I did not unwrap that book this month, but I ended up finally finishing People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This is the first Emily Henry book that I have ever read, and I loved this. This was going to be a 5-star book, and then I ended up dropping the rating down to a 4.5 again. This time I did round down and gave it a 4-star. I really loved this book. Throughout this book, we follow Alex and Poppy, who are best friends, have been best friends for 10 years. They go on vacations together at least once a year, and it's something that they both look forward to the whole time. And, like, no matter who they're in relationships with, no matter what's going on in their life, they always make time for a week away together. And we get, usually I don't like multi-timeline stories, but we do get to see past summers that they have spent together, past vacations, and those were some of my favorite parts, because we really got into, it wasn't just they went to New Orleans and they went to a restaurant and this was the vibe of the restaurant. No, like, it really encapsulated the experiences they had. It talked about the atmosphere, and it talked about, you know, where they went to eat or the things that they actually went to see, the vibes of the whole the whole vacation. And I loved that. We got to see the good and the bad, and it was probably some of my favorite moments, because some of my favorite things about going on vacations is getting to sightsee, getting to experience those things. And even if I don't remember to take pictures, those are things that stick with me. So I really, really did enjoy that. Once again, but once again, the pacing kind of fell off, not because of any like time skips or anything, but because we got a lot of, like, we know pretty early on that Poppy has feelings for Alex, and we just get a lot of back and forth. Will they, won't they? I really should tell him I love him, but I don't want to, but like, I'm scared of ruining our friendships. And we get that so much. But anyway, they go on vacations together all the time. But then something happened 2 years ago where they stopped, and Poppy is determined to get that friendship back. So she asks Alex to go on one last vacation with her, and he agrees. So they do that together. But yeah, I pretty much just told you all of my gripes with it. Either way, I very much loved this book, and I'm really excited. I heard if you love this book, you'll like her newest funny story. So I am very excited to delve into more of Emily Henry, because I know a lot of people, it's like Riley Sager, you either love it or you hate it. So I'm really looking forward to delving more into romances, and it's because of this book that I am in such a romance mood right now. I just want to read all the romances that are on my shelf. which I may or may not be doing this week. No classic, but I have unhauled quite a few. So first of all, I'm unhauling Mexican Gothic. One of the books that I forgot to talk about for my free space, because I do this every single freaking month, is Antique Hunter's Guide to Murder. I am unhauling this one. I have to find the dust jacket for it. But I am unhauling this one. I read it, gave it a 2-star. Didn't really care about the mystery. It was very blatantly obvious who it was from pretty much the very beginning. I just didn't care about like anything. Like, this follows Freya, who is an antique hunter, or used to be, and something happened in Cairo between her and this older gentleman who is her aunt's like best friend, who she worked with, that, you know, she'd never been able to forgive, and it completely cost her her career. So flash forward to present day, and he dies, and she has to go in and figure out how he died. But she doesn't really want to. Like, everyone else except for her aunt pretty much thinks it was an accident. Her aunt is blatant that this was a murder. We need to figure out what happened. And so she goes along with it. And yeah, I was really bored. I ended up hearing about this book from another YouTuber, and she gave it pretty much the exact rating that I did, and I don't know why I don't listen. I just thought it would be interesting. I was wrong. And no book club read, because my friends don't like to communicate with me. I love you guys. And then I ended up changing coloring to Creative Hobby. I didn't finish that this month either. And then another book that I forgot to talk about for my free space, I ended up reading the library collection of Godzilla, the IDW library, and I thought this was really fun. I think I made a comment in my sci-fi video where I was like, I feel like I'm reading a lot of things like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Last Ronin, where I have never really gotten into that universe, didn't really care about that universe until I like picked up the books, and now like I want to consume all the content. I really thought this was a lot of fun. It's basically just a collection of like Godzilla / Godzilla universe monsters and their stories, and I loved it. I thought it was really engaging and entertaining, and it gave me a new insight and a new light into the world of Godzilla. I can see the smug face that Benson's gonna have when they watch this video. So looking at this board, I did end up getting 3 bingos. So it doesn't quite bring me to my goal, but if you remember, I ended up making a deal with Benson that if I edit on certain days, then I get like a half a point for the day that I edit, which obviously leads to full points. If I don't edit for the days that I am supposed to, then I lose a point. I ended up editing a fair amount that I was supposed to, and so I get to add 3 additional points, which if I add 2 of those, I'm officially off of my book buying ban. I'm officially off of my book buying ban, and I have a point left over. So this means I am finally back to collecting those points that I can actually use. So this one, I can use this one, meaning I can actually buy books this month. Well, I can buy 1 book this month, which I already know what I'm going to use this on. So I technically don't have one, but I'm officially off of my book buying ban. Technically, I can go over if I need to. I just need to use like additional or like other points, you know, from September. I'm really, really excited. I already know what at least one of the books that I'm going to buy. There's a book that comes out this month that I've been very excited to read, that I kind of need to read this month anyway. So that is what we're going to do. I'm hoping this month goes a lot better in terms of reading and getting some bingos. I'm still on my quest to completely black out the bingo board and get myself some points so that I can buy books, because even though I'm on my book buying ban, I am still even though I'm off of my book buying ban, I am still book restricted, meaning I have to have these points in order to buy books, or it's gonna end up landing me on another book buying ban, and I don't want to do that anymore. I'm all done, at least until November, because I usually put myself on a book buying ban for November and December because of Christmas. So those are all of the books that I ended up reading in the month of August. Let me know, what are some of the books that you read in August? Did you enjoy them? Did you hate them? And what are some books that you think I should add to my purchase list? Like, what are some books that you think I need to buy sooner than others? Because I'm off my book buying ban. Be sure to hit that like button if you like this video, and subscribe if you want to see more from me, as well as Benson, who's a frequent member on this channel. I will leave all of their links down in the description box below, as well as links to my social media if you want to get any more updates from me. But until then, goodbye.